Alright guys, I wanted to demonstrate how to do this optical illusion art that I actually have already assigned for Mrs. Bennett's class, and this is, it's going to be coming up for Mr. Cunningham's class too. But what was happening is that kids were confused, I think, on what exactly the directions were. So I'm going to give you a side-by-side. We are going to turn this plain piece of paper on the right and try to make it look like this piece of paper on the left, which is just a nice clean sheet of notebook paper. So that's part of what makes the optical illusion. So to start, you guys have to draw whatever simple object that you've got. And in my directions, it states that you should probably try to draw something that you have a picture of or something that's close to you. Just to make things simple, I drew a picture of a pear because that's what's in the directions that you guys already have. So it's already in the images. So I'm hoping the connections are there if we do that. So here is a simple pear drawing. And the next thing you're going to do, remember you needed plain white piece of paper. And then you also needed a ruler and a red colored pencil and a blue colored pencil. So right now we're going to use all three of these. I'm going to start with my blue. If you have a piece of loose leaf notebook paper, I would highly suggest grabbing it. So what I did, is you can tell already, this page that I drew on is a lot smaller. It is probably, if I had to guess, a 6x9. So it's 6 inches across this way, 9 inches down. So whatever paper I sent home with you in the bags that you got from Mrs. Bennett and Mr. Cunningham, that paper was from me, and I sent home 9x12. So I would fold it in half and cut it down to where it's a 6x9, because I think this will go a little bit smoother for you if you do that. So next is my ruler, and what I'm going to do, I placed my white paper on top of this loose leaf notebook paper. And I did that because now I'm going to try to create these lines, these nice light blue lines that are on the notebook paper. So I'm lining it up. You know what I'm going to do too? I'm going to line this up over here so that did you see what I did? I lined it up with the red so that I know vertically it's aligned and now horizontally it's aligned. This will help me make sure that the lines on the outside are nice and even. So hopefully you're able to see these in the video. I don't want to push down too hard with my colored pencil, because if you're looking at real notebook paper, it is pretty loose, or pretty light. Sorry, not loose. It's pretty light, so you don't want to press too hard. And notice as I get to sort of that stem of my pear, and now I'm getting into the leaf of my pear, notice I stopped. I didn't draw these straight lines right on top of it. I'm kind of drawing it so that the straight lines look like they're behind it. So if you've been with me at Cedar Creek for a while, you might remember in 4th grade, we did the op art hands, which is very similar to what we're doing now. It's just a little different. Now instead of using objects, instead of using our hands, we are using objects. So we traced our hand when we were in 4th grade, and then the lines that went across from it, we kind of made these nice curved lines, which is what we're going to do with the pear too. The only difference is we just created a pattern in our background when we did it in 4th grade with our hands, and this time we're going to try to make our background look like a piece of paper. So let me keep going here. So this is how it looks like it's on this notebook paper. Oh, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. So just for the sake of time, I haven't been fast forwarding anything yet. I would take this all the way down. So just for sake of time right now, I'm going to stop, because right now it's missing some key components. This is where the red pencil line comes in. So what I like to do is, again, I like to use this as a guide. So I'm going to line the edge of my paper up with the edge of this notebook paper as best I can. And then I'm going to line the red line up with my ruler. So here's the top of my ruler. The bottom of my ruler is lined up as well. And I'm going to draw this red line down. So we're almost there. I'm missing some fake holes on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this loose leaf paper and I'm going to line up the edges once again so I know it's in the same spot as this red line we just drew. And I'm going to trace around the holes. And obviously this paper is a little bit smaller, so I might move this down a little bit. But I'm going to line it up again. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom. There we go. So it's already starting to look like a piece of notebook paper. Just for sake of time, I want to remind you, I would have finished this, but I'm trying to give you a shorter video to watch. So what I'm going to do now, and I do kind of like to use my ruler for this, just as guidance, really. What I'm going to do now is anywhere that's on my object, so for me, I'm looking at my pear. I'm going to connect these lines, but obviously I'm not going to make them straight because I would have done that the first time. I want to make these lines curve, and my fingers got in the way there, so that line's going to need to be fixed. There we go. Don't get your fingers in the way like I just did. So now I'm going to do the same thing. This is what's going to create that optical illusion. So you're going to do this throughout your whole object. So even down below, I would keep moving with it as well. Make these curved lines. This one's tricky because I can't see where it goes. I'm going to have these little lines up here where my stem is. Like so. So I'm not finished with it yet, not just because I haven't completed the lines down here, but now I want to add some value. I want to make this look like a real pear and add a little bit of value. So what I'm going to do is, remember, I want to make this look like it's a real pear. So I'm going to add a shadow. So I need to pick which side I'm going to add a shadow to. And notice I switched to a regular pencil because they're going to add a little bit better value than a mechanical pencil would. So I'm just going along one side. You can kind of smudge it a little bit to create that shadow. You can even add some value on top of your object, whatever your object is. Remember, we're only going to do one side because the light source should be bringing in light from the opposite side. So this is going to take a little bit of time to really go in and have this finished, have this pear look like it's finished. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to finish this, and then I will come back and have an image of the finished pear that I did to go along with the video. All right, guys, so here is the final drawing. You can see I started with just a white piece of paper. I'll flip it over. I added the lines. I showed you how to do that with the red colored pencil and then the blue colored pencil. I showed you how I kind of did it by overlapping it first with a real sheet of notebook paper. And then I drew just a simple object. I did a pear just because I wanted to connect this to what you already have, the images that you already have in your weekly planner. And then with the value, all I did was use a little bit of, or I'd use a regular pencil. I mentioned that I like to normally work with mechanical pencils, but when I'm drawing, I like to get out the regular pencils, and I just kind of sometimes use my finger to smooth it around too. But I picked a light source, so my light source is coming in from this side, and it's casting my shadows this way. So this sort of part of my pear is lighter. This side of my pear has a little bit more value. So I hope this helps when you guys are creating your pieces.